good one for you today, but before we get into the presentation, Goldman and Sachs is tightening its belt at the expense of its CEO's wallet. CEOs across Tier 1 companies, Fortune 500 companies are taking one for the team. So the investment bank announced yesterday that CEO David Sullivan received a 29% pay cut in 2022. Way to go, Dave! But it's not surprising that he didn't freak out and stage a walkout. His new compensation still came in at a whopping, not too shabby, Dave, 25 mil. You know, Dave, a real pay cut would be down to $500K, and then I would take you to Mastro's Steakhouse for a dinner. So, like I said, senior execs and some major corporations are taking a little bit of a pay cut. So, give me a break. All right? That's not a pay cut, pal. Come on. Also, Joe Biden keeps saying wages are up. I heard it last night. I had to look into this. He's been saying it for weeks. Wages are up. Things are great. The economy's doing well. Joe, wages are not up, Joe. Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show from the same government Joe Biden leads. From December 2021 to December 2022, real average hourly earnings decreased by 1.1% seasonally adjusted. The change in real average hourly earnings combined with a decrease of 0.9% average work week resulted in a 2% decrease in real average weekly earnings over this period. Bottom line, Joey, everything is getting more expensive. You're bringing home less money. 100% fact. Number two, 72% of middle-class families are struggling to make ends meet. But hey, who gives a shit about the middle class? We need to get rid of them, get everyone on universal basic income. So, Joe, you're failing the middle class. You don't give a shit about the middle class, you phony fraud. Earnings are falling behind the cost of living. Joe, you should be addressing this instead of patting yourself on the back right now. Number three, Joe talks about all the jobs that he's created. Ladies and gentlemen, we have already seen 58,000 layoffs since the start of the year. Okay, wait, actually, I was researching last night and the numbers have been revised and updated. 219 tech companies have laid off 68,000 employees in 2023. This, according to the tracking site layoffs.fyi. Those are six-figure jobs, ladies and gentlemen, so give me a break. So right now, the Democrats are implementing policies that make you poorer. Democrats and Republicans spend $100 billion in Ukraine. Only 30% of that money, fact, goes towards weapons. The rest goes in the pockets of special interest and lobbyists. We are $31 trillion in debt. We're giving money. We have 10 more million people in poverty due to COVID, more homeless and poor sleeping on the streets, and we're giving money to a foreign country that no one can find on a map, and no one knows what our interest over there. What is our interest in Ukraine? We don't care about the people, ladies and gentlemen, and that's been proven 100%. Most corrupt city in the country in the world. 4 U.S. cities could see housing prices reach 2008 levels. Oh boy, Goldman and Sachs says 4 U.S. cities will suffer a 2008 crash in home values. So Goldman and Sachs is predicting dark days, doom and gloom in 2023 for some of the pandemic's, red-hot housing markets. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, existing home sales is good news right now. So you know what amazes me? Okay, so now it's there's going to be a national crash. All these people talking national crash that have been completely wrong on the internet, and I never said that. Look at my videos. To a regional, to 4 places maybe now. I always said the base is low for foreclosures, and you're seeing that. And I have friends buying them. So possibly, Goldman does not know shit, ladies and gentlemen. Institutional investors continue to buy homes right now. I just met with a home flipper in LA who is buying homes between 500 and 700K and selling between 1 and 1, building accessory dwelling units. They are selling before we even list them. I don't know him that well, so we're trying to build some relationship here. He's asking me for money. The city loves him, okay? I'm amazed at how endlessly wrong these predictions have been, yet they still push articles like this as if I'm going to believe it. This time, right up there with some dude you don't know predicts. It's ridiculous when you got boots on the ground. I just have a friend who bought us eightplex in San Diego. Wait till we get to that. So I've always said there will be a correction, not a 2008 style crash. All this BS on the internet is quite interesting, I know some people just make a living off YouTube or try, so they bullshit. So as interest rates continue to skyrocket, home prices across the country have continued to go down. This is from Goldman Sachs. They use the word plummet, crash, it's over. While institutional investors, the Goldman Sachs, they continue to buy single-family homes across the country, right? So they say the decline's only worsened in 2023. They sent out a note to clients. Goldman Sachs forecasted that 4 American cities in particular should gear up for a systemic decline. Don't worry, you went up 50%. You go down 25. That's terrible. That's what we're talking here, folks. They say a systemic decline compared to that of a 2008 housing crash. Let me tell you something. Here are their 4 cities: San Jose, California; Austin, Texas; Phoenix, Arizona; and San Diego, California. They say they will likely see a boom to bust decline of more than 25%. Oh boy, they'd have to go down 70%, folks. Keep this in mind. The 4 markets all have one thing in common. They are already among the most expensive in the nation. In fact, San Jose is number 1. So while prices may plunge from their record highs, that doesn't exactly make them affordable for the average buyer. So overheated housing markets in the Southwest and Pacific Coast. San Jose is number 1. It's gone up 44 to 48%, goes down 25. Is that a crash? We've been greedy. We've been lucky. We've been blessed. Okay? So, I mean, give me a break. So they think they're going to grapple with like a peak to trough decline of over 25%, presenting localized risk of higher delinquencies for mortgages originated in 22 and late 21. I do agree with that. A lot of people overpaid in late 21, if you remember that, way overpaid. And some of these people are going to, be underwater. A lot of cash buyers, though. A lot of cash buyers who paid cash. So they say, this is them, they say these declines would rival those seen around 15 years ago during the Great Recession. Home prices across the United States fell around 27% back then. That's according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index. So their forecast, their revised 2023 forecast, primarily reflect that interest rates will remain at elevated levels longer than currently priced in. So they changed that with the 10-year Treasury yields peaking in 2023 Q3, they think. As a result, they're raising their forecast for the 30-year fixed mortgage rate to 6.5. We know it was over 7. It curtailed. It's still, rates, ladies and gentlemen, are still historically low. As Mark Twain said, they're not building any more land. Where do you think real estate's going to be in 25 years? Give me a break. So, so they've adjusted. It's not all priced in. They've adjusted their points in 2023. Mortgage rates have spiked from 3 to 6% in 2022, setting off the second significant home price correction of the post-World War II era. So the national, this national decline should be small enough as to avoid broad mortgage credit stress. With a sharp increase in foreclosures nationwide seeming unlikely. However, I've said this, there are foreclosures and there's upticks. We follow the probate stuff. I have a friend who's in probate. He just bought a foreclosure. Like I said, the base was low, but they're up 700%. You're going to see foreclosures big time. So that's, overheated housing markets, specifically in the Southwest and Pacific Coast, such as San Jose, Austin, Phoenix, San Diego, they're going to see some, declines. But where did they go in the last couple of years? Our area is up over 45%. A house I own went up over 600 grand. So, it's been great out here. The highest appreciation rate state in the country is California. Okay, you own in California before COVID. I do. 7 figures up. So, I'm just dumbfounded where we started nationally to regionally. Now, we got 4 cities. So they've also, Goldman Sachs predicts that many northeastern, southeastern, and Midwest markets could see milder corrections. I have a lot of contacts. I'm from the Midwest. People are paying cash for homes in Milwaukee suburbs. Cash. days on market's a little longer, but they're still coming in and paying cash because in certain sectors the schools are great. So it just depends. So in 2023, the investment bank expects home prices to barely fall in cities like New York, minus 0.3%, Chicago, minus 1.8%, while predicting higher prices in Baltimore. They think 0.5% in Miami, which has done well overall. If you follow Miami, 0.8%. So assuming the economy remains on the path of a soft landing, avoiding a recession, we're in one, folks, and the 30-year fixed mortgage rates falls back to 6.15 by year end 2024, home prices growth will likely shift from depreciation to below trend depreciation in 2024. That's Goldman and Sachs. That's not Tim McClone. So at the peak in November, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate, if you remember, sat at about 7.37%. People having a heart attack, still historically low, ladies and gentlemen. So they say it won't be anything like 208. Back then, I'm saying this. It won't be anything like 208 because back then to get a mortgage, all you had to do was have a pulse, ladies and gentlemen. Today's underwriting standards are much tougher. If you're self-employed, you have to have a huge down payment and still might not qualify. Credit scores matter much more now. Conversely, there will be far fewer foreclosures as most have skin in the game. Equity due to depreciation over the past 7 years. If you are foreclosing, you have options, but foreclosures are going to be up. For most, it's a bump in the road. If you're trying to move up, you might want to stay put until rates come down, especially if your mortgage right now is 2.25 to 5.5. I'm sitting on some properties 2.65 on rentals, primary 2.75. So why the hell would those properties I'm going to keep renting and rent out another one? I'm making a move on something in the next couple months, and I'm a current house I'm in right now, I'm going to rent it out. And I'm going to increase my cash flow $3,000 a month. And I got a 2.7 rate. So why would I sell that property when I got 2.7? I can rent it out for just the market analysis right now. I can rent it out for $4,400. So that's the move I'm going to make, and I can live free in another place. So you got to be strategic right now. Like I said, everything was doom and gloom. It's holistic, and then it's regional, then it's 4 cities, all this crap. I don't know what to say. If you meet with someone, find out what their portfolio is. Are they buying real estate? Do they have expertise in the local market, global markets? Are they, I respect someone who's a licensed real estate broker. Are they a broker in certain states that you're looking at? We're licensed in multiple states, but that's not the only thing we're doing. We're investors. We're talking to investors every day. We're talking to boots on the ground. So when I hear Goldman and Sachs say this, and I know an investor who just bought an eightplex in San Diego, what are you talking about, pal? And he paid cash. I didn't get anything on the deal, unfortunately. He paid cash. And that's the other thing. A lot of people are paying cash. They don't care if their building goes down 500 grand. It's all about the cash flow. They're parking their money. So like I said, BlackRock and these companies set aside $50 billion in 2023 to buy properties. Why do you think Goldman Sachs is saying that? Because they don't want you to buy anything. And they got BlackRock and their hands are in it too. And they're itching and they're going to buy properties because they're going down in value a little bit in 2023. So you believe these articles? It's unbelievable. They got $50 billion set aside, BlackRock, to buy investment property. What are they going to do in 2023? It's an excellent hedge against inflation, and they see it, and they're putting their clients' money in real estate. So when you look at this stuff, and I read every day, I read this stuff with these institutional investors. I have investment bankers, some of the best, giving me information. It just blows me away, man. It blows me away. So like I said, the highest appreciation rate state in the country is California. If you bought before COVID, you're crushing. Number 2, National Association of Realtors, the economist there, I follow a lot of people. He expects 4% growth, or 0% growth 2023. LA County, a lot of other stuff I'm looking at, they're expecting about 4% growth in 2023. So LA is a different animal than a lot of markets. You got to break it down locally to Encino, to Studio City, to Manhattan Beach. I went to an open house the other day in Manhattan Beach. It's going to sell. So it just depends where it is. And I'll say this. When the weather gets bad in New York, Boston, and people want to come to California, more billionaires are in California than any other state in the country. It's crazy. Yes, they're not, they got a homeless problem. Every major city does. Yes, they're not helpful to small businesses. They need to change that. But, there's always an influx in this state. The other people are moving out. Yes, the net negative migration, but you had more rich people move into California and more poor people move out. More poor people moved to Florida. More rich people came to California. Well, Tim, were they foreigners? Whatever. Yes, whatever. So my point is you got to break it down micro. I get people in the Midwest call me all the time. Oh, everyone's leaving California. No, they're not. No, they're not. So a business colleague of mine just bought a $4.7 million house in Encino. Well, I don't know what to tell you. So main thing is, I just want to get this across to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little tongue in cheek here, but you just can't. CNBC, Goldman and Sachs, they have their own motives too for their readers and their institutional investors, so they can get any good buys. They're buying in 2023. These institutional investors, they're putting money in real estate. Just be careful of these articles you read. If you're not versed in this stuff, if you have a real estate professional, an accountant, a lawyer who's also an investor. A lawyer friend of mine is an investor himself and a licensed broker. So that's nice. He's a lawyer, licensed broker, and an investor himself. Someone I trust, I can bounce things off of. Find someone you can trust and bounce things off of. Please don't just read the newspaper and believe what you read or listen to the TV and that person's telling you the truth, because we know what's going on with that lately. Take care. Doom and gloom, Goldman and Sachs. I'd ask you to think between the lines.